Questions?
Yeah,
Yes,
what is the notice requirement for emergency meeting?
Emergency meetings do not have a notice requirement, right? So if you have an emergency board meeting, the notice requirement is, and this is one we ran into the other day, I had an emergency meeting, right? We have the resident owner that will only rent to drug dealers and prostitutes. I love this guy, you know, and finally I think he's actually got a good tenant now. But, you know, he's a great guy, a horrible person. But anyways, he is rented to some of the worst people in the world. And he's getting ready to rent again. And we get his application. They actually have a rental restriction that was created because of him. We had a 90% member approval of the rental restriction. Who's ever heard of that? No one, right? Because I can tell you the horror stories. But it's all because of this guy. And he's getting ready to rent again. It's been vacant for 6 months. He actually had a for sale sign up. Everybody was celebrating, right? Champagne was being opened with sabers. It was a great time until he took down the for sale sign and started to rent again. All right, what are we going to do? How are we going to deal with this, and how are we going to tell them that, yes, you can rent, but these are the requirements that are on you? We had an emergency meeting, no notice requirement. But the key to that was you darn well better tell every board member that you're meeting. And that was the problem that we had is one of the directors didn't get called. Because one director said, I will call everybody. Perfect. You call everybody. Leave voicemail, do email, tell everybody what day, what time, we'll give them the number to call in on. One director didn't get called in. What do we get from the email? Who called this meeting and how did it happen without me? I never heard about this. Nobody told me anything. Oh boy. Okay. Let's all step back and reevaluate our procedures. Let's make sure if we are calling an emergency meeting that we're calling everybody, that we're doing everything we can to reach them. And until we reach every director, we're not meeting. And don't tell me that you talked to every director when you didn't, because that's a big problem for me. Yes.
So that's for executive session,
Executive session emergency meetings and regular emergency meetings. Because the board can also meet an open session on an emergency basis. Yes.
My question is, the city of Alameda just said no smoking.
Yeah, so the
That's
city
the
has to do
ordinance, the city of Alameda. Next year, it's going to be in multifamily homes as well as rentals. My question is, somebody has a medical marijuana, what do you call it, and he wants to smoke them, not in his unit,
Everywhere.
but out on the balcony.
Leave it to the city to deal with. Is that for the quick off-the-cuff remark? Because we're not enforcing the city ordinance.
No.
And typically, in the marijuana ones can just be a complete nightmare. You know, I had one where we had a guys out smoking pot on the common area 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And it's just terrible, right? Everybody's sitting there going, did we really buy into the collective, or were we actually trying to buy a townhouse? We kind of bought in the collective to a certain extent, but we did involve local authorities, right? We brought in the police. We were actually working with the city of San Francisco, which I found to be amazing, what the services that they brought to bear on this issue. They brought police, they brought fire, they brought in adult protective services, they brought in every component and investigated to figure out, one, did you have a valid license? Two, do you have the right number of plants? Three, are you endangering yourself? They also brought in code enforcement. Is the unit being occupied properly and being used properly in this farm that he basically created in his home? But I would leave it to the city to deal with to a great extent.
But the city will not.
Take any action.
As an ordinance, they said it's up to the association to deal with.
And then what I would do is the association.
And they didn't put marijuana in there because of California and federal government.
Correct, and all the issues that are related to that. What I would do is talk to your attorney, look at your documents, make some decisions about what is this board going to do, right? Which hill are we willing to die on as an association? Right? I mean, that's kind of the what's going to be our what's going to be our rule. How are we going to deal with it? Is it just one neighbor complaining about another neighbor, or is it the entire association? I mean, the example I was giving you earlier, we had three, so you had condominiums all adjacent to each other. The two condos that are on either side of this unit were 90 degrees in February, right, inside the unit. Everybody recognize that number. It is 90 degrees Fahrenheit in either unit on either side of this guy's unit. because he's cultivating 47 marijuana plants,
Ah.
which is basically going through, the smell goes through the entire development. You're in the
Yes.
parking garage, you smell it. You're up in the condos, you smell it. Anywhere you go, you smell it, whether you're smoking it or not. There's a very substantial problem. This association had to address it. If you have one owner that's out there, having this good time on the common area, and one owner complains, do we care? I don't know. Each board has to make that decision.
And we
Right.
do nothing.
Yeah, you can always do nothing but talk to your
But
attorney
you
first.
need to document why
Correct.
you did nothing. The
Correct.
business judgment rule requires you to document that.
Because some owner's going to sue that other guy for smoking marijuana, and then his attorney's going to say, "It'd be a really good idea to include the association because they have those great insurance policies here." I was just talking
Okay.
about.
Thank you.
We'll go here, and then we'll go to the way back.
My familiarity a little with the Brown Act comes from being a city department head once upon a time. And the city attorney had told the council members in terms of compliance that council member A could talk to council member B, informally before a meeting about something, but then cannot talk to council member C because
Correct.
that constitutes a serial meeting.
Yeah, that's something you're all going to start hearing more about from attorneys. Serial meetings, we'll just throw that out there so everybody hears the word. A serial meeting is where, you and I are on the board, right? And Jennifer's on the board too. There's three of us, and I come to talk to you and say, it'd be a really cool new siding. And I don't want to do that T111 this time. I want to do hardy board because that's really good stuff. And then you say, wow, that's a really good idea. I like the hardy board idea because that's concrete. It'll last forever. And then you say, I'll talk to Jennifer about it. And then you go talk to Jennifer, and you say, hey, this hardy board's awesome. We do not want T111 ever. And Jennifer says, absolutely. What did we just do?
Yeah,
We just discussed, deliberated,
Yeah.
decided, and we're not anywhere near a meeting.
But can two people do it?
The theory under the law right now is, we have no idea, but I would say yes. Right? Two directors sitting around saying, on a 5-member board,
Right.
5-member board, 2 directors are sitting there at the barbecue. They drank a lot of Coors. They watched this guy drop a number of balls in a game recently that occurred in a major metropolitan area. And maybe they're a little mad, right? And they know about that guy that smokes pot out in the common area, and they're sick of that guy because he's probably the contribution to why he dropped the ball twice. Anyways, we're going to pass a rule now, right? And the two of them say, this would be a great thing. Let's get it on the agenda. Let's talk about it at the next board meeting. Not a violation, in my opinion.
And up to 7 or
7 members even better, right?
Then three.
7-member board, 3.
3.
Okay.
But then the corollary of that is, say I have an idea about some issues, say there's been a contentious issue in our cases, painting the perimeter fence, and
That never happened.
and this has been batted around at meetings for months because there's so much argument that eventually everybody just backs off and says we're postponing the decision until next month.
Nobody's ever done that either.
So is it legit if I develop a compromise proposal that I could certainly send it to the president and ask
Correct.
to put it on the agenda?
Absolutely.
Could I send copies to all the board members, not for a decision, but just for information before the meeting?
I think that would be completely appropriate. What do you think?
I agree. Yeah, as long as you don't discuss and hit reply all, just if somebody starts coming back and trying to entertain a dialogue, I would just admonish
Yeah.
them that you have to wait till the meeting.
And I could even say at the end of the proposal, this is to be discussed at the meeting, that I wanted to give you the ideas ahead.
Right, or this is going to be in the board packet.
And you may even start at the beginning of the email, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're in deposition for the Open Meeting Act violations, if the first line of the email is, we'll discuss this at the next board meeting, it makes the deposition much shorter. So, yes.
What liability, if any, if the board delegates their decision to a person or committee and something goes awry?
Well, there's all sorts of liability, right? And the risk is you delegate to who?
The 4 categories of people.
Any one of the 4 categories. You delegate to your maintenance manager, right? He's not the association manager. It's just the maintenance guy that you have. But he has a known history of drug use, right? He's our resident marijuana smoker, and we're given a ladder, right? And we're delegating authority to him to make certain decisions. Are we making the best decision for that association, right? Do we have a track record where this guy's broken down or failed to perform, and the associate and the board knows it, right? It's okay to make a bad choice. It's just not okay to make multiple bad choices, right? It exposes you to more liability. The other thing, too, is if you're delegating authority, make sure that we have insurance for those people that are being delegated, right?
So
If you delegate to a committee of the board where it's only directors sitting on that committee of the board, they all carry director